April 14th today. We were planning to do equalizations amongst our double deeps. Our notes would have indicated that at this time last year we had about 5 frames of caproot per double deep. So we would come back with plans to equalize all of our double deeps to that level just so we can keep managing as an entire yard rather than colony to colony. However, in what we're looking at so far through this yard, we're seeing more like 3 or 4 frames of caproot and maybe 1 frame of drones. And a lot of the colonies have moved up into the top box and abandoned the bottom box. So what we've been doing so far today mostly is taking the bottom box and reversing them again. There's enough brood left over in the bottom box to pull them back up into the top box. It's a lot of empty space down there, so it's just another swarm prevention step. And also it's really all that these colonies need. We're not haven't pulled any brood out or put any brood into so far, pretty much just sticking with those 3 or 4 frames. If anything, that's not quite enough. I would like to see a little bit more. But yet these colonies are vibrant, they're strong, they're growing. Seems like we had 2 weeks of really nice weather earlier in the year, and these are the bees that were raised or started at that time. And then we had 3 weeks of rain and cold and wind, and it seems like during that time they really didn't continue to add more brood on. So they kind of just maintained, which means we have a lot of bees but not a lot of brood. We have a lot of nice weather coming, a lot of resources coming in. So these are going to explode now and probably will be set up perfectly for our flow in mid-May. But for us right now, it means that there's not a lot of management to do. So let's just dig through one together, see what we're seeing. So this frame and this frame would have been blanks that were dropped in when we reversed these deeps originally 3 weeks ago. This one's gonna be tough. Right, and in that time they've drawn that out. That is drone comb laid full of eggs. This one's, they stuck it to the wall. It's the issue with reusing some foundationless frames. Sometimes you get issues. But those are both resources. I can see that from here. That's a frame of pollen. Some eggs on this side. One frame of cap brood. 2 frames of cap brood. 3 frames of cap brood. So this would have been, when we bumped these up in, or when we reversed them, we pulled 2 frames of brood up into the top box, which have been these, and then we flanked those with drawn empty frames of worker brood. So that frame would have been one that was given to them as a drawn empty frame. I lost count. There's 3. Oh, okay, so that's these 3. Worker comb. We young larva in there. We'll count that as 3.5 now.
We expect them to draw the blank frames we give them as drone brood, and that colony surprised us. Resources.
Pollen, resources. Next one's nectar. Okay, so
3.5. And there's probably going to be
3.5.
Half a frame down below.
Yep. I'm gonna try to fix this, and then we'll look in the bottom box. Set that aside. Now we'll see what we see in the bottom. Based on what we saw in the other colonies, I expect to see this just having scraps of caproot in it.
Probably haven't touched them. There should be 2 blank frames down here too, and they probably haven't touched them, or maybe drawn a tiny amount. See, a tiny amount.
Empty comb. It smells musty, which also tells me there's not a lot of life in here. Yeah, little scraplings of brood here and there, but mostly just abandoned.
Cool.
So we'll just reverse these. They'll grow back up into this.
And hopefully won't need any more swarm prevention until the honey flow.
Until after the honey flow.
After the honey flow.
It's kind of a blessing and a curse. We have fewer bees and weaker colonies, but also they're set up perfectly for where they need to be to peak 4 weeks from now, which is exactly what we want. So